Hi, welcome to Learning Spark. My name's Jennie. After my last episode, one of my followers reached out and said, any ideas on what materials I should have for my kids? How do I set up a homeschool space? I'm so not a teacher and I'm so stressed. So today I want to talk to you about how to design a homeschool space. We're also going to talk about some materials that you need. So my goal for today is to help you find a space in your home, gather the necessary materials, and get set up for homeschool. Our first goal today is to find a space in your home. Now, the first step I want you to take in looking for a good space is check out your natural lighting. Do you have good natural lighting in some areas? Now, it's very important to place your homeschool student in an area with good natural lighting. The reason for that is because several studies have proven that natural lighting improves the health, concentration, and test scores of students. There are many studies out there. Feel free to check that out. But natural lighting is extremely important to your students' learning. As you are finding your homeschooling space, be sure to find a space with good educational colors. Now, there is a whole bunch of information out there. Many studies have been done about the psychology of color. I would encourage you to look into that, but I'll give you a brief overview. So with color, it's actually been proven to affect students' moods, feelings, and behavior in the classroom. So it's very important that you have a good color surrounding your child as they're beginning their homeschool journey. So for example, the color green promotes focus and attentiveness. The color orange can promote a sense of welcomeness or a sense of comfort. However, in young children and in children who are easily overstimulated, the color orange can cause some behavioral trouble. So it's very important to know your child and know what colors might not work for them. So orange can be a little temperamental. Light blue is a color that helps with productivity. So my go-to when I was teaching school was definitely blue, because blue is actually my favorite color. So it worked very well for me. However, you may find that your child doesn't like certain colors and does not respond well when certain colors are around them. So I do want to mention, I'm not saying that you need to go out and paint your entire house to be the perfect homeschool environment. But what I am saying is that the colors that surround your child might affect them. So it's important to be aware and to know what is surrounding them as far as color goes, so that you can help make the best choice for them. So even in your wall hangings, if you have posters that are bright orange or bright red, and that is triggering your child, it might be a good idea to remove those posters and try a different method. So it's important to make sure that all of your wall hangings in their homeschool area will promote their learning and will help them be successful in the homeschool environment. As you're finding your homeschool space, consider how much furniture you're willing to buy, how much furniture do you already have, and what are your must-have items. So a few things you may want are table and chair. You may want actual desks for your child. You may want a large whiteboard that's used for lessons and for posting assignments. You may want more furniture than that. You may want a rug. You might want a reading corner or a calming corner. You need to consider what types of areas you would like in your homeschool space before you begin designing it, so that you have a good idea of what furniture you have, what furniture you need, and what is flexible to you, what is negotiable. Do you have to have certain items, or are there some things that you feel like you can do without? If you can't dedicate an entire space to homeschooling, you can still homeschool. I want to make that very clear. You do not have to have a perfectly designed homeschool space. However, if you are going to homeschool and you don't have a dedicated space, you are going to need some sort of cart or a bin or a location where all of the materials for your homeschool can live. If you are not going to have a homeschool space, my suggestion would be to have a cart, just because that cart can move to any location that you need it to, so that you can homeschool your child in multiple areas. So I would definitely advocate for a cart. If that does not appeal to you at all, you could definitely do a basket or a bin that travels around the home with you as well. Now that you have decided where you want your child to work, it's time to gather some supplies. The number one supply that I would recommend to you is a book bin. I would get a book bin for each child that you are going to homeschool. And that book bin is going to be their in-progress bin. So if you are working and become interrupted by something in life, they can put their work in that bin and it's going to stay there until they return to it. I would also advise you to get a second bin for each child, and that second bin is going to be your teacher bin for that child. So if your child is Isaac, it would be your teacher Isaac bin. And basically what you would put in that is you would put the lessons that you're doing with Isaac, you would put the lesson materials you are doing with Isaac, and any possible books or extra things you might need as you're teaching him. So that all of those things are in one place, easy to grab when you're ready to start your lessons. As you're designing your homeschool space, you need to think about what materials you want your child to have constant access to. So my suggestion to you would be to make sure that your child can access lined paper. If your child is younger, lined paper that has a midline so that they can practice their handwriting. They need to have access to pencils and a pencil sharpener. I personally think that children also need access to crayons and colored pencils in case they need to do any labeling or any color coding in their work. Very important. I also think that there are some materials that are best kept behind closed doors. For example, scissors, glue, paints, markers. I feel like all of those objects are more for the creative expression. And so I feel like those particular objects can be put behind closed doors and then pulled out for the appropriate time. So I would suggest putting those things behind closed doors. Another item that you might want to consider that you don't need to have out all the time, but you want access to, is going to be butcher paper. Butcher paper is a teacher's favorite thing. So I'm totally guilty of this trap. I love butcher paper. I love it for geography lessons when we need to draw maps. I love it for art projects. I love it for everything. It's fabulous. However, butcher paper can be expensive. So a teacher hack that I want to share with you real quick is to go to the dollar store, go find the wrapping paper section. And oftentimes in the wrapping paper section, you can find a roll of butcher paper that is wrapping paper sized. It's fabulous. So I typically take that roll and I chop it in half or in thirds, depending on what I'm doing. And that's my butcher paper. So I highly, highly recommend doing that to make it affordable for you in your homeschool. All right, our final goal for today is to get set up. Now, before we dive into this, I want to say every single person that you talk to about setting up is going to have a different suggestion on how your furniture should look. So don't worry about them, worry about your child. That's all you need to do. So I'm not exactly gonna tell you how to arrange your furniture because I don't know what it looks like, but I can help you with this. You need to think through every single factor in that environment. So for example, we were seeking some natural light earlier. Did you find the natural light? Is it going to shine directly in their eyes at any point during the day? If so, maybe move their spot a little bit so that they don't get that distraction in their homeschool environment. Another thing to think about is, where are you going to sit when you're teaching lessons? Are you going to sit beside your child? Are you going to sit across? Are you going to sit at a whiteboard? Where are you going to sit? Another thing to consider is, will your child need reference posters? Will they need something on the wall to help them complete their work? Is that something you want to provide? And if so, you need to set up the environment to be conducive to that. You need to set it up so that they have a good view of those different resources and those different wall posters. So it's really important as you're orienting all the different furniture pieces and getting things arranged, make sure that you're thinking through what works for your child. Do they need the privacy of working in a corner? Do they need their back to the corner so that they don't feel like somebody's watching them while they're working? Do they need a reference poster so they need a wall beside them? Do you want to teach them in a certain area? Do they need a calming corner? Do they need a reading nook? All of these things go into building and designing your homeschool environment. Now, I do know of several fantastic homeschooling design Facebook groups. They are addicting and they are so pretty and they are so fun to look at. I'm gonna go ahead and put a link in the description for you for one of my favorites. However, disclaimer for you, these are beautiful homeschool environments in these groups. However, they might not be functional for you, your family, or your child. So you know them best, you know yourself best, and you know your family best. So as you're seeing all these beautiful examples, please, please, please make sure that they are realistic to you. Don't envy after somebody else's homeschool just because it looks pretty. If it looks pretty, is it even getting used? So make sure that you are prioritizing your homeschool environment and what works for you, your child, and your family as you're designing your homeschool space. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I hope that I was able to provide some insights for you on designing a homeschool space, finding that great location, bringing in those materials, and getting it set up. I hope that I was able to spark your learning. Thank you so much for watching today. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, Learning Spark. I have lots more homeschool topic ideas coming. And if you have any requests for a homeschool topic you would like to hear more about, go ahead and mention that in the comments. I would love to help you and make a video specifically for you. Please, please, please have a wonderful day. I hope this sparked your learning, and I hope I see you soon.